Nick Targontsidis, and we are having a little post 17.1 and 17.2 debrief and discussion, and maybe a bit of a chat about what's going to come up in 17.3, 4 and 5. So Nick, have you done 17.2 yet? It's Monday the 6th of March.
I have done it.
Yeah.
I did it on Friday evening.
Okay.
So the first workout, 17.1, I did literally like straight out of that pretty much. As soon as I woke up, I just came in.
As soon as you woke up, you're like,
pretty much, I was like, I'm just ready for 17.1. Came in and I like pretty much madly like psyched myself up for it. So I was like coming in like on some mad mission and did 17.1. I just totally like messed it up.
What happened?
Crazy. Oh, I went so quickly out of that for 17.1. No pacing, no nothing. And it was just a different atmosphere because I did it pretty much by myself. And
did you not do it with Craig?
Well, I did it with Craig, but I mean, it was in like, there was no people, not really very many other people, there was no atmosphere. So it's just a different way of doing it. And whereas 17.2, I hugged the whole day, I ate really well, and then came in the evening when there was a lot of people here doing it. And it was just a lot better, and 17.2 went way, way better.
Yeah, it did go well for you.
Yeah.
So I feel like 17.1 and 17.2 were totally different workouts in that 17.1 was all about engine and cardio and absolutely a mental workout. It was very much a mental workout for me. When I did 17.1, I went with zero technique when it came to the snatches, like zero technique whatsoever. So when it came to the set 40, my back was just in absolute agony. But I still managed to finish it within the time cap, which I was really pleased about. However, 17.2 was, for me, as someone who can't do muscle ups, was a sprint because I had to get as really good a split time as I possibly could. However, you got your muscle ups. So how many did you get?
So I am running at 13.
13?
Which is good for me, you know. Like,
Are you going to try it again?
No, definitely not. No. Like maybe like once I got into the rhythm for my muscle ups, they came a lot quicker. Like I was being able to move through them a lot faster, but it took me maybe a couple of minutes to actually get into a rhythm for them. So if I did it again, I probably could get a couple more reps, you know, but it kind of really took a big toll on my shoulder and stuff like that, because obviously like we're not like at the elite, we're not at the top level.
What? Speak for yourself. I can't do muscle ups.
I'm fast with my split times. That was like one of the funny things, like someone posted on like the Q&A for like CrossFit games where they were like talking about like if any questions, just ask us and we'll answer them. Someone was like, would I be able to qualify for the CrossFit Games by just doing scale? And then, we're like, just doing the scaled versions.
Right, okay.
And they're like, well, technically you can.
If they had the scaled CrossFit Games.
Yeah, well no, if like people like would mean that everyone would have to like totally mess up like the first ones and stuff. And they're like, so there is a possibility.
Yeah, you're relying on a few factors there, I suppose.
But yeah, I probably could get a couple more. Like I probably could have got through all 16, you know, if I did it again. Yeah. But is it worth it for me? You know, like not really in the grand scheme of stuff, because I'm not going to qualify for regionals.
No.
I've got
you're just like the same as me. We're doing it for fun and for fitness, and for maybe body composition as well. Like I've known you for quite a long time now, and you've actually had your own physical transformation through CrossFit, and I don't think a few years ago you would have got muscle ups just based on your body weight, but now you're an absolute honed, ripped, shredded machine, and you go through muscle ups. But what I loved about that workout as well is that it totally highlights your weaknesses, and that's what always happens when it comes to the Open, is that, I mean, toast the bar for me. I've been doing CrossFit for 4 years and I still couldn't string them out after a certain amount of reps, and the same with muscle ups. I should be able to do muscle ups by now, but no,
but it's a technique. That's the thing with all these things, you know, like I can do bar muscle up, I still can't do ring muscle ups. But if I'm just doing all the breakdown of ring muscle ups, I can do every single part.
Yeah.
I can rep out loads of ring dips to proper extension. I can do false grip like ring pull-ups. I can even kick and bring basically the rings to my hips. You know, like I can do all the bits, but it's stringing them together.
Absolutely.
And it's like and that's what's so interesting about CrossFit with the gymnastics and like snatch and all these kind of things. Like with snatch, it's not just one movement, it's 3 different parts of a move that you have to be able to string together, you know? And it's very hard to be able to think about that, especially as the weight gets heavier and try and do all the bits, because you kind of have to think of them as separate processes, and that's what makes it so difficult. But it's what makes it so interesting.
Absolutely, because I found like I spent the last year focused on weightlifting. I actually gave up CrossFit completely and just was weightlifting, and I did get a bit stronger, but everything else went to pot. And that's why I think that if you're getting to regional and games level, like to have a full-time job and be able to still focus on all those other things, it's just amazing.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm quite lucky in that I work in a gym, but you don't. You're a chef, so having to still work on all these different aspects is so challenging.
100%, and you have to like commend like some of the actual guys who like Fikowski and all these kind of guys who have full-time jobs and they literally are working pretty much 9 to 5 throughout the week and still being able to get to the games and still like that must be like how many hours a day they must be working their normal job and also doing CrossFit. They must be in the morning, probably going through the lunchtime one and then doing them in the evening. You know? That's mad motivation, and like that's just going to strengthen them mentally when it comes to the games. And you think it'd be quite interesting to see the comparison between guys that do CrossFit professionally, as in like that's all they do, compared to guys who are in the games but they don't do CrossFit professionally, they have another job as well. So it'd be interesting to see like how they did compared to the others, like what the actual breakdown was of it, because in my opinion, doing another job and doing CrossFit and getting to the games would probably make you a lot mentally stronger. But I don't know, you have people like Freeman who does it professionally and like he's still some kind of like animal when it comes to CrossFit.
Absolutely. Like I find that with CrossFit, you've either got that mental part of you, you don't, and I've come to terms with the fact that I don't have that within me. Like I absolutely love CrossFit, I love taking part in classes, and sometimes I'll go to like small level competitions, but if it comes to pushing my body to a stage where I'm in physical pain and I'm having to like switch off nerve endings and stuff, I just will never get there. But God, big respect to those people that do.
100%.
Big respect.
Madness, like last year's games was like the hardest games that they'd ever had, you know, like that was a ridiculously large amount of events to have to do over like 5 days or 3 days.
And a scorching hot sun.
Oh, starting with like 7-kilometer trail run into like a deadlift ladder, you know, like just madness, like their bodies would just be wrecked, you know.
Absolutely. Although I feel like one year they should have the CrossFit Games in Glasgow, just so they can experience this gorgeous weather and have maybe junkies throwing stuff at them as they like do their trail runs. So it's like things like.
And we have like some of the Icelandic who doing like Murph, like the first year they did Murph, and what's his name, the Icelandic guy that's pretty good, pretty high up in the games. I can't remember. But anyway, that dude, you'll know who he is. Anyway, they like did this like interview at the end and he won it, and they were like, like, how was it for you? Like, and he was like, well, it was great because I'm used to like training in like minus whatever temperatures, so it being this warm, it's like it's pleasant for me to
absolutely
do this.
I think there's a lot to be said for your environment as well.
100%. And I think, you know, like the first year that they did Murph in the games, it was maybe a little bit that pushed the boundaries of what was dangerous. You know, because it was just so hot. And it was so late in the day that they did it. They did it like in the afternoon.
Did you not do it like at peak sun level?
They did it at peak sun level. So it was like midday pretty much, like 1 o'clock. It was so hot. And when you have elite athletes literally collapsing from heat exhaustion, you know, you have to start being like, oh, maybe that wasn't good. Which is why I think they then did Murph again in a different way. Because I think the reason they did it in a different way was to show actually we've learned from that mistake. Yeah, that was stupid. Like, we shouldn't have done it so late in the day. And they did it really early in the morning. You know, they changed the format so it wasn't the 100 and 200, or 300 and 200 and 100. You know, they did it the other way around. They split it up with like rounds. So it was kind of interesting. But yeah, going back to the open and stuff, you know.
Yeah, I think that kind of leads on to one thing I was thinking about is for your average CrossFitter like us, is that your open workout should not break you for the rest of the week. You still need to do like your training for the rest of the week. So that's why like I kind of am a one and done kind of person, and I also wouldn't want to like. I made the mistake of having a really sore back, so I had a sore back right through to the Wednesday after 17.1. And it kind of took me out of training for a little while, which is an absolute rookie mistake. So if you know that you're going to be someone who's not going to get into regionals, then maybe you shouldn't really be breaking yourself.
Because I actually did 17.1 twice. And the reason I did it twice was because the first time I knew that I could get more. Like, I was just really quite disappointed with the first time that I did it. Went out way too fast, got a really like, for me personally, like quite a poor time, you know. And the first time I did it, my back was totally screwed. Like afterwards, it was so tight. I wasn't using my legs. Like my form was all over the place for the movement.
Did you know what I mean? Up to me?
I have no idea what happened. It was awful. And actually, what happened for me was on the first time I did it, the burpee box jump overs were like a joy. Like they were like great. They were the rest for me because I didn't use my legs at all when I was doing my snatch. So then the second time I did it, I completely utilised my legs. Was doing my snatch with a lot better form, and then I was like, oh, now I realise that people are falling off the box and they can no longer use their legs to push themselves up. And now I understand this workout way better. And actually, my back wasn't sore at all after the second time I did it. Like, because once you get that form, and it just sort of highlights the importance of being able to keep your form and not, like you said, pushing yourself to this point where you're just completely broken, like you're just really, really injured. Because, like, we just have to be like truthful in the sense that the open, like, there's so many people like come like probably like 10 billionth place, you know what I mean? And, like, if I do 70.2 again and get 3 more reps, why not move up to 9 billionth place? Like, it's like not important.
Paul Hill, owner of Unit4 CrossFit, he would always encourage us to only do a workout once, and he says to me, because like who are you trying to prove to? Like, all it's going to do is move you up within your gym leaderboard, and everyone's going to know you were that guy that did it 3 times just to like beat one person. So you don't really like who are you trying to prove it to? No. So moving forward, what would you like 17.3 to be?
I would like heavy. I would like something heavy because it falls way more into like my ballpark of stuff that I'm good at.
Muscle strength.
Muscle strength. Being able to lift things. I would really, really like heavy thrusters.
Heavy thrusters?
And it's way just a completely selfless and selfish thing.
Because you think you'd be quite good at that?
Well, because thrusters are like, because of like my ankle mobility and stuff like that, like thrusters are like.
So like a thruster ladder or something?
Thruster ladder, that would be amazing. Thrusters wall balls would be amazing.
Thrusters wall balls, so like all the legs, all the squats.
Or maybe even like a sort of Kelsey kind of thing, you know, rowing thrusters would be quite interesting.
I feel like this is going to be a dumbbell themed open. I think there's going to be more dumbbell stuff, and we've had power cleans, we've had snatch. Is there going to be maybe a cluster or a dumbbell thruster? Or what else could you have? Like, we've had lunges.
We had lunges. The problem with
what can you do with a dumbbell?
The thing is with the dumbbell thruster is that 22.5 is really heavy dumbbell thruster. They might be single arm thrusters, like it might be something like that, but there's like you just have to think there's loads of stuff you can do with the dumbbell, really. You know? Like, it is pretty versatile, and in a way it is quite good that they're starting to bring it in, because at the beginning when CrossFit was like in its sort of infancy and all this kind of stuff, when I first started, there was very little sort of accessory work that you did. If you know what I mean? Like, you'd never do dumbbell stuff, you know what I mean? Like, it would seem like you don't want to do just biceps or just doing your chest or whatever, you know, and now it's starting to move where they're saying actually these isolated movements are actually quite good to make you stronger in other places.
Yeah,
you know?
because that's what CrossFit's all about, like general physical preparedness and moving unusual objects, and dumbbell isn't really an unusual object, but it's just that some people are so chained to a barbell, and I mean, I'm one of those people, so we were wobbling about.
It's very unstable, and like it was very interesting doing it in lunges, because last year obviously we had the overhead like barbell like lunges, and this is basically another one of these movements which no one's ever really done, you know, like done with kettlebells and stuff like that, but kettlebells kind of sit quite nicely within like your arms when you're actually sitting there, so they actually just sort of sit quite nice, whereas dumbbells like...
Those are unpleasant, but I tell you what,
quite unpleasant actually.
Rogue is doing well right now, they're like...
well that's the thing, isn't it? It's like doing a Rogue just to go up to Castro and say, look, everyone in America, all the CrossFit boxes have bought all of our gear now, and we made the gear so good that it's not breaking.
No.
So do you fancy selling dumbbell workouts so we can sell Rogue dumbbells?
Absolutely.
Does that sense? And you're like, in a way, you're like, is it CrossFit going down that sort of path where it's all the sponsorship starting to really?
I think it is
that, but at the same time, you know, like it's not. For me, it's still not losing it. You know, it's still not losing it.
They'll always say that it's important that we can be prepared for whatever. Prepared for anything. So yeah, I think my 17.3 choice would, as you say, something heavy. I would love that as well. But my favourite open workout was from last year. It was the 55 reps of deadlift wall balls. I really enjoyed that workout. So, and if I recall, the deadlifts were quite heavy as well. That was 70 and 100 kilos. So that something like that. I do love a row. I do love wall balls. I do love deadlifts. So actually, no, let's just have that workout again, please. Yeah.
Well, that was a good one, and it was good as well because that one was another mental one, because I'm quite a big fan of the workouts where it's like you have to get through all of your deadlifts to then move on to all of the next move, to then move on to all of the next move.
Rather than rounds,
I'm less of a fan of like hammer, because you're like, at some point I'm going to have to come back and do more wall balls.
Yeah, chipper is nice.
So yeah, I really enjoyed that one. That was a really good one for me last year.
Yeah.
But like the big thing with all these kind of things, and like going back to this whole repeating, not repeating sort of idea, you know, at the end of the day, like at our level of the open is more about you looking at yourself and being like, okay, if you've been doing CrossFit for a year, or you did the open a couple of years, you say, where was I last year at the open? With similar movements. Or like my gymnastics or whatever, you know, and where am I now? You know? And it's so easy, and I fall into the trap, and every now and again, you know, of matching yourself up with comparing yourself to other people, you know, competing with other people, and that's not what it's about. Okay, what you're good at, and what they're good at, and what your goals are, and what their goals are completely different. Like how much you can train and all that kind of stuff, completely different, you know. So you 100% always say this, and you want to say it to our members the week before and stuff like that. Like, honestly, it's hard, but you have to just look at yourself.
I think,
like
they always say about Christmas, is that Christmas is for children. I think the open in an affiliate is about the people who are first time open.
100%.
So like the excitement, the buzz, and it's all about just setting that standard and just pushing yourself to 100%, not giving a shit what anyone else is doing, giving it 100%, and then anything on that the next 4 years is an improvement.
It's like the new benchmarks now, you know? Like, it's sort of, in a way, sort of taken over the CrossFit girls, in the sense that now the open, you do the open, and then you spend a year improving, and then you'll do the open next year and say, okay, so how much fitter am I this time around compared to where I was last year, you know? And it's 100%, like I said, it's for the first time people. Like, all the first time people do the open this year, they're so excited, you know?
God,
it's great. It's great.
Yeah, I
love doing it. Especially if they're doing it at a higher level than they would usually do the normal workouts, the whiteboard workouts, you know? They're saying, alright, I'm going to do our exercise time.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm going to do this, and first time people are getting close to the bar, first time people are getting pull-ups, first time people are getting muscle.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. Like, it's that excitement, you know. And a lot of people in the comments, you know, like Reddit and like all this kind of stuff, people saying, oh, like, why would you put muscle ups in? Like, why would you put these difficult movements in the
Because it's something that you need to work towards and raise the game for.
And it's like they're saying, oh, but it makes it not inclusive, not like they want in the Open to be. But actually it is, because you come to the Open and you maybe have never got a bar or something like that, but then suddenly you've got all these people, you've got to work out, your adrenaline's pumping, you come to the Open, and it forces you into it, and suddenly you do get one. And you're like, oh,
the
my
Open
goodness.
is not a safe space.
Yeah.
The Open is where you get thrown at the deep end, you learn a lot about yourself as a person, your weaknesses are exposed, your strengths are exposed, your mental weaknesses and mental strengths as well, so yeah, I just love it.
Yeah, and it also helps in terms of like how you pace workouts.
Yeah.
You know, like that workout, the gymnastics one where I ended up getting what we call muscle ups and stuff, because I knew that I could do muscle ups.
Yeah.
But I knew that there would be a point like I'd probably only get maybe through the first round of muscle ups, would be as far as I got. So I based it completely different to you.
Yeah.
I did like my toes to bar in singles, for example, like I completely split up the power cleans with the dumbbells, you know, so I wasn't burnt out when it came to actually doing my muscle ups, because I knew, okay, I'll get like 4 minutes, 5 minutes, I can get at least a few muscle ups, you know. So, and it makes you learn that, because the first workout, it was like just balls to the wall, like it was basically anyone could kind of do it, whether you were a CrossFitter or you weren't a CrossFitter or whatever. It was just keep on chucking that thing above your head and jumping over the blocks, like. And that was just like you said, all about the engine, whereas the second one was way more about technique, being technically sound, planning well, you know, it's very good. I like 70.2, it's very good like that.
Well, I feel like we've covered lots of bases there. Do you want to do this again next week?
100%.
Let's do this again next week. So good luck. 17.3, we'll have another debrief next week, and just a little chat about the Open. Thank you.
See you later.